On a more somber occasion as today, I would like to discuss more about this book and the misnomer that might come out as a form of disclaimer in some kind of way on page 19 with the purpose of these lessons and to train the mind. And I did speak about the previous book that inspired me to come up with this, A Course in Miracles, and it was a 3rd volume edition, and it had other things in it as well. That's what gave me the idea of coming up with sermons. But this book is not the all and all to everything for healing practitioners, and it's actually to bridge everything and as much as I could possibly put under the sun to connect. And there will still be dissonance. And when I said here, and I did write, there is no mistake in it. I spent 3 months of editing this book, and it's finally in it. I've taken it out of the retail twice already, and there's no mistake that I did put here. You know, I was really kind of disappointed because I was expecting and accepting to be the previous book, A Course in Miracles, to be like, you know, the first couple of chapters and lessons. It was about you know, leaving all concepts behind and, you know, removing all the meanings of things. But then it got to the level where the disappointment is a good thing, and disappointment, I hope, does come across your minds when you do to the reader, when the reader picks up this book and feels any kind of disappointment. Disappointment is also a good thing, and it all depends on your perception. And this book is about, and all the previous other authors and other books, is changing your perspective and the way you see the world. And for me, disappointment is a good thing because it doesn't allow us to stay with compromise and just be rather be exceptional, because disappointment, if it weren't for disappointment, I wouldn't have come up with this book. It was the disappointment that inspired me to go through the book, A Course in Miracles, anyway, even though I couldn't even make it past the Bible, through Matthew and all the other books that claim that they have it all, and you can't possibly expect to say this is the book of all books, because it keeps changing. Life keeps changing. The more we get to a certain level, we move on to another level, and that's a good thing. That's part of evolution. So disappointment to me is a really good thing, because it helps us to create more, to create better, to become exceptional. I can't remember that other name. That just regular people just are comfortable in their comfort zone. And anyway, I hope that I came across to everybody to help understand. And with that said, understand, I'd like to go deeper from that superficial surface of just the book. And when you see it, and it's like, oh, right? So what I would like to do is dive in a little deeper. And last time, I think I mentioned what it's like to go with the heart and follow your heart. I'm pretty certain that many books before me and every other authors have described this, to just go with your heart. It's all good in going with your heart, but what really is going with the heart? What really is the heart? I want to take it in a practical sense. The heart is divided into 4 chambers, and it's a space that provides a vibe, and that vibe, that rhythm, and I'd like to go deeper into that. And I have this it is in this book, but I don't know how much of it is covered in this book, and it's up to the reader to take it further and make something more or something, whatever it is that I hope they do get something out of it. Okay? And so the chambers of our heart, there's a reason for everything. Our anatomy, our physiology, I've taken our biology, our to a microspection, to a macrospection, microorganisms, atoms. Okay, so from that level, I'd like to just take the anatomical level and describe about the heart. The heart is also houses the bundle of His, which is an electrical component that also creates that muscle to contract and expand and pump out blood. That's a circulation, and that's connected to the breath. So every time we breathe in and every time we breathe out, we're creating a circle effect, an inner world and an outer world. And from that inner world and outer world, if you will, you could say red color and blue color, dark and white. Those are all Ida and Pingala. This book here on the back, it has a emblem, and it is very important. It does kind of look like a healing, you know, for the medicine, and kind of when I saw it, think, well, yeah, but really what it does describe is the energy fields, and the heart holds that resonance. It can hold a resonance, a vibrations that you can relate to others, and more so too, there's something that I did not cover in this book, and there's so much more that I can just make another book out of it on sermons alone. Like, what is resonance and what is dissonance? Dissonance is something that we also create to learn from, and it's where hatred, separation, and all these lower substances are. And there's an alchemical component to this, that we can transmute that energy into from lead to gold. And I think I also described it here in the book, and all these little cliches so people can understand, oh yeah. So, you know, there's a lot of also, whether it be synthetic or just out of the blue, you know, people won't really understand the unknown and the unknowable. So you have to kind of reference to the knowable and the knowing so that people can kind of make something of it, and it does hit you directly. Sometimes it goes through the cognitive, and you know, so I'm wanting to refer back to the Creator, the inner child, and what is that, going back to that wholesomeness, going back to the essence. The essence also creates these hormones that also affect our metabolism. And our metabolism can go really fast, it can go really slow, and it can store food. We can become overweight, as like I have been. See, I'm also going through a process. I haven't totally completely healed myself either. It's a process that it's not, this isn't the final destination. Eventually we can get to a level where we no longer need healing in our world. We no longer need to help others heal. And that can be there too, okay? And so from there, I would like to describe that, you know, when we were little babies, I want to make a point of this because last time I couldn't remember the name when I was speaking to you about it. This thing up here at the center of our heads, it's called the fontanelle when we're little babies, and it opens up. So when our mother gives birth to us or whatever, our skull can like become small and come out for quite a while, until maybe, you know, after the baby starts becoming a child, and you know, it's still there. That soft part is there for a reason. It's to take in that energy, that torque. So when I was referring to the breathing in and breathing out, we're creating tube torus, because when you have one going in one direction, breathing in and breathing out, you create some kind of torque field. And that torque field is like a pillar, a column, if you will, and that goes straight, and that area of the fontanelle is exactly where our crown is supposed to be. Sometimes you see people covering that area, because that area, if the sun hits it, or if the sun hits you directly, it could damage that area or whatever. It always goes there, and that's one of our sensitive spots, because that's where the actual, our pillar, our sovereign light, whatever you want to call it, that torque, this is the center. This is the center. When we go to center ourselves from our heart and our higher mind, this is how it happens. But in order for it to activate, okay, love, sure, we can be in love, but we can still be asleep and victims. We can still be in love and go with our hearts and be asleep. But the moment we're able to access our higher heart, what is that? That's something that when kids reach a puberty level, and these are hormonal changes, and hormones are very important. And you notice that people take essential oils to help them clear with those meridians and those essences. And sometimes we need to clear those areas for sure, but also there's hormones into play. And if we oppress those hormones, our very own essences, we end up with our metabolism a little bit, it kind of gets off balance and things. And so the ideal thing that I would want to suggest is eventually we want to go on our own without all those other vices, because we are it. We are that essence. And whenever we clear our energy field, we become that full body, light body being with that essence that we radiate out. And so that other point I wanted to make was the thymus gland. The thymus gland and all these other precious oils that naturally come out of our glands and into our bloodstream, that is something that after puberty, it hardens up, just like the fontanelle. And it's up to us to kind of pry it open again so that we can access our higher mind and become enlightened. So on that note, I think I kind of went all over the place, but I came back around to explain that I thought this was very important to explain to people that this book here, and this is a very healing, powerful, energetic emblem. Okay? And the reason these wings here, this is what the chamber of the heart is actually creating. This is an energy field. And that's what it means when I was saying to anchor from the heart. Absolutely, we're anchoring also into the earth. But eventually, when we get to opening that bridge from the lower heart into the higher heart to access the higher mind, then we end up, not only do we end up with wings, this is a light, this is energy, right? But we also end up with this halo, the authentic us that comes into that baby when it's young, and it all comes in, and that's the level we want to be at, that innocent, authentic us, and that's the way you learn. So this was exactly what I wanted to say, and this also goes, it can go clockwise or it can go counterclockwise. And all these symbols that we have, whether it be through Wicca, through Christianity, Judaism, they're all very important symbols, and when you put them together you realize it's telling a story of who we really are. And it wasn't meant to be like, this is the book, and to segregate and separate people. It was meant to know who we are, to learn from our, this is why they're still here. It wasn't to create tribes or things like, okay, it's about us becoming in atonement and becoming one and authentic with ourselves and being able to share that with others. And once we know who we are, then we can help others. And really, we don't really need to help others. Others don't really need that. They need to help themselves. So we got to get to it doesn't matter what level we're at, so we're just going to keep moving. And that's what it's awareness is all about. Are you going to like click? I think that did I cover everything pretty much? Yes. So this is an energy field, and I've already discussed the black and the white and the red, and also the blue and the yellow, and they're very important in their primary colors. And so we do have a force, okay, and we do have matter, but we also have antimatter, and we also have dark force, okay. And I did discuss it, you know, I mentioned as much as I possibly can in here, but it's up to the reader to how they interpret it and what exactly they want to take from this book. And if it is any kind of disappointment, that's good too. And so is there anything else that I didn't cover? Can you help me? Is there anything else that you think that, is there any questions or that I might have not answered or missed out, like that I started talking about?
You seem to have discussed everything that you wanted to talk about today.
Okay. Alright, so I think that this will be it, and it's up to the reader to pick up. And why I have this book here is because this is the newest one with the glossy hardcover, and after picking up this glossy hardcover I noticed, wow, this is amazing. So instead of having this here, which is a flat mat, I'm thinking for the soft cover. I also have 2 other ISBNs I created for the glossy, for people who are interested in having the glossy format. The EPUB is probably going to be one of the last ones that comes out, because it doesn't seem to have any like page numbers, and so it's going to be coming out pretty soon, and I hope you pick it up. And that's all I think I really have to say, because I can go on talking forever, and you know. So if there's anything else anybody else would like to maybe, you know, ask me, or feel free to do so. Thank you so very much.